If you just let it upset you and get you to the point where you're just mad and now you can't act and you can't do anything because you're just pissed off, that's not helpful to you. But what is helpful is looking yourself in the mirror and no matter what you've been through saying, because of this, I'm going to succeed. Not because of that I can't do it, but because of that I can. And I will. Because of that, I must. We had over $100,000 of credit card debt just from having bad habits. Eating out was the main one. It's so easy to let life beat you down. I had this difficult job on my back that I felt stuck in. I could have taken the easy way out and not gotten with my girlfriend who at the time had a 2-year-old. I could have chose to not take him under my wing. And now I have 2 sons. And now we have a whole family that's been created out of just sheer resilience. Welcome to the Jason Jacob Show. I'm your host, Jason Jacob, and today I want to talk to you about how to get back on track after falling off. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who's supporting the channel. One of the most important aspects of sticking to something, of getting yourself back after you feel like you've fallen off, is having a tribe, is having a support group. The next 3 months, the next 6 months, it's going to go by either way. Whether you choose to get in shape, whether you choose to do the thing you're supposed to do, whether you choose to level up and build a new skill, you can do all of that. It's literally possible for you to do anything you choose in the next 6 months. The question is, are you going to do it? And you guys know I practice what I preach. So if you've been following along, today is day 4 of me actually sticking to what I say I'm going to do and losing some weight and getting fit for the first time in a decade. So let's bring up the numbers and show you where I ended up today. Today I had 69 grams of carbs, 24 grams of fat, and I went about 9 grams over on my protein, 159 grams of protein today. Super solid day. Let's bring up Fit Index. Today I weighed in at 222.6. That is 5.4 pounds I'm down now within just 4 days. If that's not a testament to the fact that tracking this stuff, having a plan, and holding yourself accountable really works, I don't know what is. So I'm happy to report things are going well. What's interesting is I'm coming right up on the number that I usually plateau at, 220 pounds. Historically, I've always gone between that range of 220 to 230. So I'm real excited for the next week. Now again, this first 2 weeks is aggressive. Remember, I'm only eating 25 grams of fat, and I have 1 more week of doing that before I have to bump my fats up to 50 grams. So it won't be as aggressive after next week. But if I lost 5 pounds this week and I can do the same next week, I call that a huge win. How do you get back on track after falling off? You might be feeling like you're not in your prime anymore. Maybe you have a couple kids. Maybe life has thrown a few jabs at you. And trust me, I've been through my fair share of ups and downs, that's for sure. A lot more downs than ups sometimes. But the key to it all is just to be resilient. How can you be resilient when you feel like you don't have the wherewithal? After I go to work, I deal with the kids and I try to keep a positive attitude and raise them the right way. If you're anything like me, you want to raise kids who are going to be prepared for life, who are going to succeed. And for me, that's a huge part of why I do what I do. I work a software engineering job. I get off and I try to spend as much time as I can with them, try to help them not be on screens so much, just because I care. I care enough to give them a leg up in life, to give them all the cheat codes coming from the future, from all of the pain and the difficulty that I've been through in life, from all of the mistakes and the trials and tribulations. I can take all that knowledge and give it to them as a testament to some of the things that I've been through. I could lay out a number of things that could have made me want to give up, that could have made me not want to be resilient and just gave up on life. There's so many things that I've been through. One of the main things I've been trying to do now is really build myself financially. Time and time again, I've had situations where things just went against me. I mean, just having, those of you out there that have a family, you know what it's like to have 2 kids. I'm taking care of a family of 4. I want their mom to be able to be a housewife and to be able to hold down things from that perspective as they're little. So they're growing, and she had part-time jobs here and there, things she could do remotely, but for the most part, she was able to do that and provide them what they needed at the time. The kids have been homeschooled for a few years now, and that's been awesome, and I've been able, because I have those values, I really care about that. Now that they're a little older, she's now going into her own career, but financially we've taken a hit, and we never had much money to the point where we had a townhouse and we were renting a room, and the only reason we got a bigger 5-bedroom home, we actually went and got a brand new house, which was amazing, but we were renting 3 rooms so that we could house hack, so we could figure out some way of getting some type of passive income and living a decent life. And so once we finally sold this house, we had held on to it since 2018 and we sold around 2025, and once we actually got this equity, industry. I hadn't dealt with this kind of money before. So you get a little bit of money and you want to make sure that you handle it correctly. Whether it's that, whether it's these interviews where they're asking you to solve this JavaScript question live in front of these people, and it's more of a stress test than it is a test of if you can actually do the job, because the day-to-day job is nothing like these interviews. But the tech industry, we can get into that, but it's not a fun process trying to get a job in tech. And it wasn't before, right when COVID hit was around the time when I was getting into the industry, and I feel like I was lucky because there were still jobs to be had. Nowadays, it's just a joke, this industry. But that's beside the point. It's taken me a long time to get to the point where I am now. I work for a great company. Well, a huge company, let's say, but on the back end of it, the engineering department, I've had a difficult experience. The lead on the current team that I've been on for 3 years, I thought he was going to give a good report of everything I've been doing because I'm the type to go above and beyond. When it came time to put someone up for a promotion, he put my coworker, when in reality I was leading this team, and this coworker was actually breaking things left and right, and I'd be the one to fix them. And this guy had the audacity to actually say that I wasn't performing up to standards. So I had to take out all my receipts and really set the record straight. But that was a real difficult time in my life, and still to this day, it's taken them a long time to finally get another person as senior as me that wasn't this other person into our team to really be able to see the full picture. And I mean, even that guy, when he finally came on board, had thanked me for staying and sticking around because he saw what a mess this other guy was, who just has a difficult collaborative philosophy, let's say, and what a challenge it was to work with this person. And in reality, I could have left, and I did consider leaving multiple times, but I didn't, because why? I'm holding down this family, and I'm holding down the financial aspect of things for right now. And so it's devastating to be trying to take this money that I'm supposed to be a shepherd of and lose some of it. Recently, with the whole market tanking, my portfolio's down like it should have been double what it is today. And that's something that's just part of doing business. It's part of the experience, and most people learn the markets like this. And so I've realized, how do I get back up after being kicked down like this? I learn from it, and I make sure that I correct the structure. My portfolio is filled with good companies, but what I realize is a lot of them are growth companies that get hit hard in times like this. And so really it's a structural problem. And I realized I need to have more dividend paying stocks, more value stocks, more stocks that do better in hard times. Now I'm just going to slowly build out those positions. And right now I'm going to stay where I am with most of my growth stocks. Over half of my portfolio is growth. And so it's really just tanked, but it's also going to come back strong when we have that rally. The hard part is the leaps that can expire. So I'm watching those, and I'm going to see what I have to do there. But the sentiment has changed this year around the stock market, and the market, it never fails. It never fails to get you at the wrong time if you try to play those games. But I can take the lessons that I've learned from the difficulties and turn them into positives and make me more resilient. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that's the real lesson here. You have to be resilient in life. It doesn't matter if your story is different from mine, if you have some similarities to mine. I could have invested a lot earlier, and I could have held long term, and where would my portfolio be today? A way different place. So many things were stacked against us. We could have given up and not tried to buy that 5-bedroom home we could barely afford, that we really couldn't afford, but having some equity from our townhouse, we decided we'd level up and find a way and get resilient. We literally were managers of a retail store at this time. Who were we to think we could buy this house that at the time was $700,000? Well, we ended up selling it for $1.2 million. That's great. You'd think that's a lot of gains that we had. Yeah, except we had to borrow some money. I said, there's this great equity sharing company that we can use because we wanted this nicer property. Well, what happened there? They ended up getting 3 times what they invested into us about 5 years later. We would have had a ton of equity. I'm talking about life-changing equity, but we didn't. We had over $100,000 of credit card debt just from having bad habits. Eating out was the main one. It's so easy to let life beat you down. I had this difficult job on my back that I felt stuck in. Just the stress of life. I was trying to be as good a dad as I possibly could. I had overeating habits. I was just not happy with myself. And sometimes we can just dig ourselves deeper and deeper into that. And what you have to do is just turn around and look yourself in the mirror and realize you're all you got. You have to be resilient. You can dig yourself out of this. You can change whatever is going on in your life, but it's up to you. It doesn't matter how bad it's gotten. I'm sitting here with a net worth that is, when I look back on it, could have been 10 or 20 times more. I could have been in a situation at 37 where I'm close to retiring. I know that might sound strange to some and sound sad to others, because I have friends who've got $1 million plus portfolios, and I don't have that. It all depends on what you prioritize. I could have had these things, but instead I chose to have a family. And that gives you what? That gives you meaning. For me, it's all about my kids. The way I was raised determined who I would become when I got older. To be honest, I don't have the best relationship with my parents. And maybe it's just boomers. If you have boomer parents, maybe you can relate. But I was dependent and got a lot of financial help when I was younger. And then something happened. I had my son and something clicked, and I knew I just needed to level up. And it was the most difficult transition I've ever had to go through. But I did it. And ever since then, I just told myself I'm not going to ask for help. And so that gives me meaning to know that I'm fully taking responsibility for my own self and my family, even when it's difficult, even when I feel like we're just getting by. Even if had I had help, I'd be maybe leagues ahead right now. I could sit here and give all the excuses had I been taught differently, had I had a financial education that everyone deserves. My parents and grandparents, they always had businesses that were cash flowing, so they didn't ever really think long term. They could have probably built a lot more wealth than they did for themselves, but they've always been just worried about their cash flow and their business. And little did I know, I thought I was headed in that direction, but it didn't end up that way. We tried to create a business, it didn't work out, it just didn't happen that way. And so, of course, if you give it enough shots and enough at-bats, it comes back to that resilience. As long as you work hard enough on something, you can do anything you want to. But you should always have that investing, that long-term investment mind frame, just as a backup plan. And you got to have meaning in your life. So for me, a big thing is being the kind of dad for them that I feel maybe I deserved. I feel like my dad's done a lot for me, and he's a great person. It's just that his philosophy in life is different, you know? And it's like, if anything, that's maybe the most heartbreaking thing, is like, I don't want to spend a day not knowing what's going on with my kids, right? All I want is to figure this whole thing, this whole game of life out, so that I can help them and see them succeed. That's all I care about. And maybe it has to do with my upbringing, but I don't see how you could be any other way. And so to be out here on my own, to have worked so hard in a difficult environment where I was never really given, or hadn't been given for a long time, the amount of respect and visibility and acknowledgement that I deserved, and to feel stuck and trapped in a job, and I'm still giving them my time for pennies on the dollar, because time is the most valuable asset, not money. We can always get more money, we can't get more time. This is why business owners trade a little bit of their money for all of your time, because that's a good trade for them. And a lot of us buy into that when we should be building systems and businesses, but that's a topic for a whole nother video. It's about being resilient. That's how you pick yourself back up from a losing season. You just have to have resilience. So you have to consider, what is the 1-2 things that right now, get a little list, and I want you to write down. Let's do this. This is a fun exercise, because you have to understand that to have that resilience comes from your why. So you have to understand and think about, why do I want what I want? And write it down. Write down, get a piece of paper and write down your why. And then I want you to think about this. What do you want for your life? What is your vision? Where do you see yourself at the end of your lifetime? Where do you see yourself in the next decade? And I want you to write down where you see yourself in the next year. What if you could do anything? Maybe you need to do something radical. Sometimes we think inside a little box. So think outside the box. Maybe you want to change locations and go to a new city. Maybe you want to switch jobs and learn a different skill, something that can pay you quicker, more of what you're worth. Maybe you want to build your own business, because you can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. So think about it right now. What do I want to do? What could I be doing in the next year where I'd be a whole different person? And I want you to think, what 3 things would I have to do to accomplish that? And so write down the 3 things. I'd have to do this, I'd have to do this, I'd have to do that. And then I want you to order them in terms of, this would come first, this would come second, this would come third. And then the third one, that would be, once I'm doing this, I am that guy. And I want you to write 1 year right next to it. And that's going to be the time frame when you're going to make that happen. And then I want you to go to the second thing and write 6 months from today and say, in 6 months, you're going to have hit that milestone. And then I want you to go to that first thing. And on that first thing, I want you to write tomorrow. And I want you to resolve to tomorrow changing something, taking that first step, and make it a very basic step. I'm going to look into those programs. I'm going to check out that city. I'm going to look into what the rent might be in this certain city, or whatever the thing might be for you. Hold that vision and see that vision in yourself every day. Write your goals down. I know a real rich guy, he goes to the beach and he likes to just meditate, read his goals out loud with his coffee, with his Starbucks on the water. That's what being resilient looks like. It's not pushing through and being motivated through something. It's having a structure in place that you follow every day, no matter what, because you have a strong why. So we all have our issues. And a lot of times we have things we feel very strongly about. And it might be because of the way we were raised. It might be because of something we got or we didn't get. It's never the thing. It's how you respond to the thing that matters. Everything starts here. But you have to have that strong why. And no matter what's going on in your life, you just heard a few examples of my life. It hasn't been the easiest. I haven't had the best breaks. That's another tidbit, is sometimes don't pray for success so soon. Because I know with me, from personal experience, having success teaches you nothing. Having success soon, as soon as you start doing something, oh, you think you're God's gift. And that doesn't teach you anything. What will teach you something is going through hardship. What will teach you something is having failure. You only learn through failure. Failures are literally the steps to success. And if you don't have that, then you end up with a very empty, hollow version of success. And that leads you down a whole nother path that you don't want to go down. That's for sure. I've had many trials and tribulations in my life. I've had so many things go wrong in my life. I've made choices that I couldn't come back from, that took years to come back from, and that's things that I'm not the proudest of. We all have our issues. We all have our things that we've been through, and we all have things that we've done that we wish we could take back. But if you sit here and dwell on the past, you won't be able to build the vision of yourself for the future that you need to jump into. And that version of yourself who did build that business and became wildly successful, you think that version of yourself is sitting here worried about some mistake he made at 19 years old? I don't think so. But you can use these situations, and if you just let it upset you and get you to the point where you're just mad and now you can't act and you can't do anything because you're just pissed off, that's not helpful to you. But what is helpful is looking yourself in the mirror, and no matter what you've been through, saying, because of this, I'm going to succeed. Because this happened, I'm going to finally learn that lesson. And because I hate my job so much and I've been overlooked, I'm going to build a business that's successful. Because that's what I want for my life. And I need to figure this out for myself so I can pass this knowledge down to my kids. Whatever it is for you, you say, because of that. Not because of that I can't do it, but because of that I can. And I will. Because of that I must. And so that's how you come back from a slump. You remember your why. You think about your vision. You write down what you need to do. And you get started tomorrow with the first one. All right? So I want you guys to do that. I'm rooting for you guys, and remember to like and subscribe. And if you like this kind of content, I got a lot more coming. I'm here to help whoever I can. I'm really doing this for myself, but I'm here to help you. We're all here to help each other get to that higher version of ourselves, because it's difficult when you're holding down a family, when you're doing all the things, especially as men. We do so much and people don't really see it. Our family doesn't really see it. We try to shelter them from it, but we know what we go through. And so we can be here for each other. I'm here for you. I know you guys are here for me. And that's what this channel is all about. Creating a community, a space where we can all push each other forward and make sure that we're all living up to our highest potential. And we're not giving ourselves a cop-out. We're giving ourselves the fuel that we need to keep going, to remember our why and to remember our vision. Because as soon as you have that, you can go anywhere you want in life. Write down your goals, head out to the beach or wherever you want to go. Wake up in the morning and do your thing, your morning routine, and make sure you slip in there sitting down, relaxing, pulling out your goals, pulling out your reason why, and just read it out loud and think about it and visualize yourself being there, and then think about those next few actions you need to take that day to get it done. And if you do that over a certain amount of days, your whole life is going to change. And that's what being resilient really is. That's how you get back on track after falling off. All right. So if there's anything you take away from this video, I just want you to remember this, that freedom is possible. Action creates opportunity, and your outer world changes the moment you change on the inside. I'll see you next time.